My guests tonight have extensive experience with immigration enforcement. Emilio Gonzalez is a former DHS advisor for Trump's transition team. He also served as director of U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services under George W. Bush. And Victor Avila is a retired supervisory special agent with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Great to have both of you here tonight. Victor, first, I just want to get your reaction to day 6 now of these protests in Los Angeles as ICE agents fan out and make these arrests. And we have heard over and over, I had the DHS spokesman on last night, these raids will continue.
That's absolutely right, Elizabeth. Great to be back with you. I think the raids in the operation of law enforcement, you're going to see that continue. The big difference here after this 6th day, you notice that I think they've gotten the picture here, and I'm talking about these protesters. I don't like to call it protesting because I've seen the difference between real protesting and destruction of cities. And I think they're slowing down. I think the response by this administration coming at it immediately is making a difference now that people are not going to be getting away with any kind of looting or any other kind of criminal activity, especially against law enforcement.
Yeah, it is important to note that the vast majority of protesters have been peaceful. There have been some bad actors that have been committing violence. Those people, as we just heard from DA Nathan Hochman, will be found and will be prosecuted. Emilio, as these protests are spreading now from Los Angeles across the country, there's a warning from Georgia's Attorney General that anyone destroying property could be charged with domestic terrorism. But then you go to Chicago, where the progressive mayor is urging people to get out and protest, saying this afternoon, this is a necessary fight. I'm counting on all of Chicago to resist. He did emphasize peacefully, but this is a very different message.
Well, this has to do with the fact that these are all cities that are headed by Democratic mayors. I guarantee you here in Florida, this stuff won't happen. We have a governor that's basically drawn the line on this kind of criminality. This has absolutely nothing to do, I'm convinced, with illegal immigration. This is an opportunity to destroy. This is the same thing we saw in Seattle.
What makes you say that? Wait, Emilio, what makes you say that? We've interviewed many countless protesters who are there because of these ICE raids.
Yeah, you know, the ICE raids are there, okay? The ICE raids will continue. The ICE raids will continue in the future. But what you've got now, if you've got people that are professional, I want to say destroyers, haters, these are the same folks that went to Seattle as Antifa and burned the place down. Then they went to Minneapolis and burned the place down. And now they're looking for an opportunity here in LA. There may be a reason to protest this, but burning down stores, throwing rocks at police officers, launching Molotov cocktails at federal law enforcement, those are not legitimate protests. And I will tell you, Elizabeth, that the people that they're harming the most are the immigrant communities themselves.
Right, and we've heard that message from the mayor of L.A. and the governor of California as well, that violence is never the answer and please only protest peacefully. But it's interesting that these are now spreading across the country. I'm curious, Emilio, you served in the 2024 Trump transition team for the DHS. Was this ever discussed, sending the military in to quell civilian protests?
I think it would be vastly inappropriate for me to talk about internal discussions, but I will tell you that this is an administration that takes citizen protection, national security, public safety very serious. We're not going to go through what we went through years past. We're not going to have, you know, if we don't stop this now, Elizabeth, what's going to be the next time? Is there going to be 3 years from now another protest because of a tax on remittances, or is there going to be another protest over any other inane thing that will launch these folks into burning down businesses? Can you imagine what could possibly be gained by burning down a bodega owned by an immigrant to protest immigration policy?
Yeah, well, as you have pointed out, there is an element in there that is obviously a criminal element that is opportunistic and looking to start that fight.
But what will end this is, I was just listening to some of the statistics of the numbers of people that have been arrested. You know, in the past, they would arrest all these people and then they'd let them go. If these people are seriously going to be arrested and prosecuted for things like attempted murder, destruction of government, I guarantee you that is the ultimate deterrent. When those folks are sent to prison for several years, they'll be thinking twice, or at least the ones that follow them will be thinking twice about taking this on. There has to be a consequence for this action.
Well, I think that we know from the White House press secretary today that the 300 plus people who were arrested, a third of them had criminal records of some kind, but they weren't wanted for crimes. They're simply being deported, but they will all be deported according to DHS. Victor, I want to ask you, as a former ICE agent, part of what's driving these protests is the way these raids are actually happening. ICE agents are showing up. They are masked. They are armed. They show no warrant or identification. Are these measures necessary for them to do their jobs?
At this point, they're necessary, and I'm going to tell you why. I covered my face one time on a high-profile arrest, but it's because of the possible danger that I faced from the community of the person that I was putting in jail. And so I don't blame the ICE agents for trying to take cover and protect their identity, and or the type of enforcement that we're seeing. Open up the jails, open up the state prisons, open up the county jails, and you're going to see a lot of this go away. We need to give access to where the criminals are. That's where they want to go after them and get them in these secure situations instead of taking it to the streets. I think most people would agree, but the sanctuary city policies from these Democrat states won't allow that. And now you see we're here facing these type of issues because they're not going to stop. They're going to go where the illegal aliens are living, are working, and in fact, you're picking up a lot of people that don't have criminal histories because they are encountered with the ones that do have criminal histories, and there's no more option anymore. And I have to agree here that this is, I think, fundamentally, looking at the bigger picture, I'm not sure how many people are actually out there protesting for immigration purposes anymore. I think now it's a fundamental change. I think it's ideology. I think we have to look at the bigger picture politically and what is it that they want to do, and what message are they trying to send with these type of protests. I'm not talking about the person that actually wants to fight for the family member. I'm talking about the people that are there as the instigators. What is the real reason that they're doing this? Because we're not going to accept the destruction of our businesses and our communities because of these agitators. I think we need to look at ideology. What's the reason behind it?
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.